is the correct answer. Why not C? How would you modify it? So this is also working critical thinking skills that they go beyond languages. Even in Spanish, most of our students don't have critical thinking skills, okay? You ask them, and why do you feel this way? And tell me what happened. And they cannot even narrate a simple event, right? So this is not about language. This is about a skill itself that needs to be trained. And with this, we come to this last thought that I have for you. So let's pause for a moment and reflect. Professional growth rarely comes from changing everything at once. It comes from making one thoughtful improvement, observing its impact, reflecting on the results, and then building on that success. So the final kind of message that I want to leave today is we can do a lot with small things. Don't feel pressured to change everything that you have been doing, to adapt to every new tendency that is around, to every new trend that you can find or read of. But kind of always keep in mind your skills, the type of skills you feel comfortable with, all the experience that you have had through the years, the profile of the institution you work for, your group, and you are the one that can really take this and move into the practice, okay? You already do an amazing, amazing job. So I don't want you to think about, oh, I need to change everything. No. If you can apply at least one of these strategies in one activity tomorrow in the classroom, so this was a success, okay? Go little by little. As teachers, we already have to do so much, okay? So we need to simplify ourselves, simplify our lives, and I think that by simplifying, we can do so much better because we can be present for our students, because we will have more energy to be there with them, to guide them, to ask the right questions. So thank you so much for your time. I hope this information was useful and that you can incorporate at least one strategy in one activity that you can implement in your classes tomorrow. Always, always remember that you are amazing, that you have an amazing value and a great potential, because I know that we always focus on the students, but what about us, okay? So let's create a community of teachers that we can share what we know, that we can care about each other and support each other, okay? Teaching is really challenging, but it's also amazing, and you're not alone in this journey. So thank you so much, and always remember the power that you have and your value. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Andrea. As we come to the final part of our program, it's my pleasure to introduce our last presenter. Edith Perez Mendez is the academic manager and an English teacher at the Inglés Tech program. She holds a bachelor's degree in English teaching from Universidad Latina de Costa Rica and is currently pursuing a master's degree in educational technology and innovation at Universidad Nacional. Her professional interests include innovative teaching methodologies, teacher mentoring, and the design of meaningful learning. Experiences for language learners. In addition to her work in education, she is the author of the contemporary novels Te presento a un amigo and Café Libertad, which explore themes of personal growth, resilience, and self-discovery, with the presentation being a nomad, teaching out of the box. Please welcome Edith Perez.
or this one?
I think we have problems with the internet.
Okay.
Give me just a second. No, no. Yo creo que ya funciona. It was working. Yes, it's working. Thank you. Well, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here for me, and also I have to say that it's a big responsibility because talking about teaching English with a lot of professionals like you, so it's kind of, I don't know, difficult. I'm a little nervous, I have to confess, but I hope that what I want to share with you today could be useful for you. This, we can say, concept that we have here is one that I discovered recently, is studying something related to educational technology. And even though it is not related or not directly related to English teaching, I found many connections with what we do. So that is the reason why I said if I had the opportunity to share something with my colleagues, it could be very useful. I have been in your shoes because I have taught elementary, high school. Nowadays, I am working with adults and also with the English teachers team. So I have seen like all the perspectives, and I hope that it could be useful. I hope to share some examples of things that had worked for me and that could work for you too. So the concept I want to introduce is the concept of nomad. So if you see, the idea is to, we can say like not to teach traditionally maybe in a way, because our generations are changing. So for me, this term is very inspiring. And something I want you to do, because when I start my lessons, I like my students to participate, so in this case, I want my colleagues to participate as well, is just scan that code, enter this Padlet, and leave a word. When you see the word nomad, what comes to your mind? As soon as you enter it, I hope technology is gonna help and it's appear here. If you have heard the word or the concept, it would be easy. If not, we can guess this part of it. Nomad. I don't see any word. I don't know if it is my internet or if it is that you didn't enter the word. Did you enter any? Yes or no? No? Okay. It's the second slide because you are going to enter to the whole slideshow. So it's the second slide. You just click on text, the T that you have there, and enter a word. Ah, okay, now they are appearing. That's great. Okay, I like that word. That is the first one, creativity. I have to say that English teachers we have some magic because we are able to teach many different topics. We are not teaching just a subject. We teach many different topics, so we have to be very creative. I really like that word. Any other? No more. No. What is the word you have? Tell me. Knowledge. That's good. Well, you just click on the other slide and it appears sometimes. Or maybe it's the internet, because it's reconnecting. Maybe it's the internet. Well, I like that one, knowledge. Maybe I can listen to another word here. Exploring, okay. Any other? When we see the word nomad, the first word is know, right? Related to knowledge, as you said before. Ah, okay, perfect. It was the internet. Technology played tricks. But if we divide it, it's knowledge, and it also comes from the word nomad, that were the people that move from one place to the other, right? So it means that it's related to something that is in continuous change, we can say. So I like that one, being updated, exploring, innovation, oh, I like it. Intelligence, be able to learn. Well, you're very close. This, we can say definition, as I said, was not precisely related to education. It was related to working field in general. The person who, we can say, mentioned this term for the first time was John Moravec. He is an investigator, is an American researcher in the field of education and technology. And he gave us this, we can say, definition in a TED Talk. It says, a nomad is a nomadic knowledge and innovation worker. So it was for the working field. That is creative, imaginative, innovative person who can work with almost anybody, anytime, and anywhere. So imagine how flexible this person is. And it says also that can apply knowledge from one field to another. That is why I said that is very linked to English teaching. How many times we use one thing that we learn in another, we can say, field, and we put it into our lessons? Or we are talking about something random with a friend and we say, oh, this one helps with, or I mean, for this specific lesson, with these students, with this group, right? So that is to be a nomad. It is to, we can say, move one thing from one place to another, or from one topic to other. So that is why I think that this is an important question we have to ask to ourselves today. What kind of teacher do current generations need? If we have the concept of nomad, and we already know what kind of teacher they need, we can get with the, we can say, mixture of both, a nomad teacher. So it is a teacher that is not planning lesson, is designing experiences, right? What do I want my students to experiment? And in that way they learn, right? It's a guide and a facilitator. And sometimes this is kind of difficult to apply. And I said, I work with elementary school, right? Or with elementary kids. I couldn't be a facilitator all the time with them because they need discipline. So they need to be organized, they need routines. So there are moments to establish routines, especially when they come from break, and you have like to organize the class in order to start teaching, and sometimes we don't have like the 3 lessons together, so it's one each day. So everything has to be realistic, right? But there are moments in which they are working in groups, and we can let them work and facilitate the class. So this is the idea of a nomad teacher. Also, in that moment that they are working by themselves, we can say that we promote autonomy because they are sharing between them, and also critical thinking, and also teamwork because they are going to be working by themselves. Sometimes we have to mediate because it's kind of difficult, kind of challenging, but it's possible. Somebody put there that learn all the time or never ending, right? The learning part for us is like that, so never ending learner. That is why we are here. And I include myself because I was paying attention to Andrea and I was learning a lot and taking notes. Because every time we are here, we learn from the colleagues that are talking here in front. And then we have to be open to change, right? That is part of that, we can say, nomad mind, right? To be open to change. Why? And that is the reason why. Because we have to answer this other question. How do current generations learn? If we have the nomad teacher, it's because generations are changing. I started teaching in 2008. And I have to say that the generations I had 2008, 2010, than the ones I have now are completely different, right? They learn in a different way. We passed the lockdown time also, and it changed the way they learn and the way we teach a lot. So that is part of what we have to have in mind. If they learn in a way, we have to teach in a way that we can communicate. And there is another theory that connects very well with the nomad idea, and it's called invisible learning. It is proposed by this man, Cristobal Cobo, that is a Chilean researcher, and it proposes, again, many principles, but these four are the ones that I think connect perfectly well with English teaching, right? So one is informal learning. How many times we tell our students, if you want to improve on listening, watch movies in English, listen to podcasts, or watch videos, YouTube videos, right? This is a way in which they are learning outside the class. And this is informal learning. We learn even by watching TikTok videos or social media, because we can find information everywhere. So we have to be aware that informal learning exists. Collaboration. Nobody knows how to work as a team. That is something we have to teach also. It's a competence that we need to teach. In my experience, I did it, for example, with third grade. I remember it was so hard for me to ask the kids to work as a team. So I used some strategies, like, for example, creating a card with stickers, and they had to collect stickers during the week for a project, and at the end of the week, they have a little reward. It was how? Well, there was a leader. We have to see that the group is working well, and in that way, you are gonna get your reward at the end of the week. So I'm adding a little, or I was adding, at that moment I didn't know it was called like that, little gamification principles, but it worked in order to train them to work as a team. Technology mediated. Sometimes technology is not as friendly as we want, like now with the presentation at the beginning that they didn't want to connect, but we cannot avoid that nowadays technology is so important for us. Our students are exposed to technology every day, everywhere. And the class has to be also an opportunity to use it. It doesn't have to be the center, right, of our class, but it is a very good tool to apply. So we cannot put it away, and we can take advantage of some platforms or of some digital materials created by us or generated now that we have other kind of tools. And finally, connected with the experience. Why I say connected with experience? Because English is, we can say, related to everyday life. If we teach English, it's because we want our students to communicate outside the classroom, even though they are kids, teenagers, or in my case that I am teaching now, adults. When I teach them something, I always say, this is gonna be helpful for you if you do that. For example, this is going to be helpful for you if you travel, or if in the future you work on this and that, right? We always try to put the things or the objectives of the class outside the classroom. So always connect everything with real situations. Those are the principles of invisible learning. There are more, but those are the ones that I consider are, can be connected with English teaching. Now, some, we can say, strategies and examples that can be applicable in our lessons. Problem-based learning. That is something that implies critical thinking. Sometimes sounds like so high or so difficult to plan, but actually we can do it in a simple way. The idea is that they have to solve a problem. So it is going to make our students think and discuss among themselves. Implies research if we have time. If not, discussion. We can make a simple problem or propose a simple problem that they can solve without researching. Increases collaboration and negotiation skills, and also helps with vocabulary. One example that I can give you is for a reading exercise. This one was one that I used in high school. The reading was about some kids that were lost in an island. Well, maybe you know the book because it was a literature lesson. Lord of the Flies. Maybe some of you have heard about that book. Well, this book is kind of hard sometimes, and teenagers don't like it very much because it's a classic. So what I did was that I proposed them some items, and I told them in groups, you have to survive in an island, but you are alone. There are no adults, and you are the 5 ones that are going to survive there. You have this quantity of items. Choose 5. With these 5 items, you have to survive, at least for a week. Choose the items and tell me how you're going to survive. They presented the different plans they proposed, and then, after reading the book, they had to compare their plans with the ones that, or with the things that the kids do in the group, in the book, sorry. It was so funny when they reflect on their plans, because they were thinking even that they had the cell phone at the moment, right? Because, or I will call my mom, or will call my dad. They couldn't realize the difficulty of the problem. But it was good after the exercise because they can reflect on what they said. And this is the metacognition part of problem-based learning. It was an example, but we can put every daily problem they can face, even something related to the break, and it is going to help them a lot. Then we have gamification. We can say that this is trendy nowadays, but it is not just to carry a game, because it is so easy, right? The idea is that we know the principles of gamification and put it into the class. So it could include a scoreboard, rewards, like the one that I was mentioning with 3rd grade, storyline. I write, so I love storytelling, and this is something very useful if we want to apply it in gamification. It increases students' motivation, and you can do it in short time or for a long period. For example, nowadays I am using it in a bimester. So what I do is that every week my students have to, we can say, complete a challenge. It could be a quizzes, Kahoot game, and the people in the podium accumulate points, right? I can reinforce grammar with that, vocabulary with that, and I have to say that they are going to be engaged with the topics in order to we can say, to achieve the mission. The mission is the objective that I am proposing for the class. So at the end, gamification promotes meaningful learning. That is what we want, right? Not only to know how to use English, but also that they can apply it in different contexts. Another strategy is the situational approach, right? In this case, I think it's one that we use a lot because we always propose like activities in which they have to role play, maybe. So the idea of these role play activities are that we can design them, again, not plan and design them, in a way that could be close to the reality and close to the objective that we have, right? Because it is going to simulate a real context. It is going to promote communication, right? We need them to speak, not only to write English, because at the moment of truth, we can say they are going to speak. So it's a way to promote communication. They work as a team, so again, teamwork is promoted here. And, well, we can also include some problem solving, we can say situations there inside the role that they have to perform, and critical thinking as well. It depends on the topic, the design that we give it. It is going to be focused or not on critical thinking, right? And now, talking about trends, we are gonna mention AI, right? I have to say that I have adapted many of my activities now that we have these tools. Actually, today, before coming here, I was teaching a lesson, and it was related to the parts of the house, right? Normally, that is vocabulary that we teach. And what I did was that instead of just talking about the house they want, because it was the ideal home, I asked them to write the description of their ideal home, but they were in groups of 3. So each of my students has to give some characteristics of the house and build a house that was, we can say, the house for them 3. So I told them, you have to write that with a lot of details. But I didn't tell them that we would use AI. When they already wrote the description, I gave them the beginning of a prompt that was like, act as an expert architect and create a plan of a house, and I gave them the prompt. And I said, insert your description here. If you wrote it properly, the house that you're going to see is the house that you were imagining, right? So it was a way for them to see represented what they already wrote. So it includes writing, and also at the end they had to present the house. So at the moment that they present the image, it was useful. It didn't take a lot of time because in 2 minutes we had the images ready. The only part that was tricky was like to create the description. So this is an example of including AI, but digital resources, as now that we were using the Padlet, are, we can say, available for everybody, right? And it is necessary to include it. Another example are avatars. We can create avatars to introduce a class. I made an avatar of Shakespeare some time ago to introduce one of their plays, and he was explaining a little bit the synopsis to my students. So it is very attractive for them, it's catching, it's like a hook for them to be more interested in the class. And of course, we cannot forget authentic materials, right? Like, for example, YouTube videos or anything that we can carry to class, even, why not, a movie clip that can help us like to be connected. In this case, we are applying many other, we can say, methodologies or approaches like constructivism or connectivism. That is what new generations need, right? And to close, I want you to keep these reasons, like in the YouTube videos, 4 reasons to become a nomad teachers. So this is what I want you to keep at the end. English teachers are full of creativity. As I said, we have some magic. I have worked with teachers, I mean, of different, we can say, subjects. But nowadays that I work with English teachers, that I have like many colleagues, I know that we have lots of ideas. Sometimes what we don't have is time. And sometimes we have a lot of paperwork and our creativity is dismissed. But we have it. And this is a plus. Even I have some students that have told me, teachers, I mean, the teachers that teach English are different from the rest. And maybe that is the idea. So we can be nomads because we have that magic that I cannot describe. Remember, we plan lessons, but it's better to design it. So design innovative lessons related to or focus on the current generations, right? Technology supports learning. It's not the centers, but the teacher is the one who promotes critical thinking. AI can be tricky. Students can use it we can say in a bad way, not exactly with the purpose of the class, but we can make that product that AI produces into critical thinking material, right? We can ask them, questioning them, and in that way, it becomes useful. And finally, learning occurs in different settings. We have informal learning, not only in the class. Anything that we can take from another place to our class is useful. Anything that our students bring also is very useful for us. We are never-ending learners, we and our students. If we have that mentality, every idea that they come to us is going to be very useful and is going to enrich our classes, right? I think that the raw material is there, is the ideas that they come to class, right? So I hope that this, we can say, approach of invisible learning and being a nomad could be or could stay with you, and that you can apply some of their principles, if you are not doing it already, in your class. And that's it. I hope you can get ready to teach out of the box. Thank you very much.
And, well, it was a worst time to present, but she did it very well. Thank you so much. I have a little present for you. Please don't leave without completing the attendance form, which is in some QR codes that are at the doors at the entrance of the place, and I will present it on the screen in a couple of minutes.
Thank you very much, Edith. And with that, we conclude today's lineup of wonderful speakers. Let's take a moment to thank each of them for sharing their insights, knowledge, and passion. We hope you leave today feeling inspired, supported, and re-energized in your teaching journey. Thank also to all of you for being here, for your attention, and your dedication to learning. Thank you very much.
Now, I would like before we finish today, I would like a big round of applause for Carol. She's always helping as a host, and I have a present for you too. Thank you very much, Carol. And guys, thank you, all of you, for your patience, your commitment with this education in Cartago. Thank you so much. God bless you. Remember that your teachers, you have powers. Use them. We really can change the world, and we really can change the future of our students in Costa Rica. Thank you very much. I will present the code. Thank you.